Hi, everybody, and welcome to this special edition of Omni Edition Garden City. I'm Dan York, along with Megan Sharon. She is from the Community Resources Department.
Yes.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
We want to talk about the Healthy Kids, Happy Family project, which has been going on now for really over a year.
Yes.
And the object is to get health care for kids in our community that are eligible for it through a variety of different programs, whether they be federal, state, county, correct?
Right. Correct.
So let's talk about how we got to this point first. There was a grant that the city received to help facilitate this program. Explain that a little bit.
So the National League of Cities awarded the City of Garden City with a grant to conduct an outreach to let the City of Garden City know what was available to them for health care.
Let its residents know.
Yes. And so that's kind of what the planning process was, just seeing how many people in Garden City were uninsured and were eligible for these programs.
Okay.
So during that planning process, we learned that the residents, that 633 children were uninsured.
Okay.
And so that we kind of like used that as a goal to get that many children covered with health insurance.
So the first thing was there was a larger committee that was set up, and then grant applications that were done, and Garden City was one of very few communities in the United States that received this grant to do this work.
Right. It was a huge achievement. It was along with cities like Pittsburgh and Dallas, Texas, and Garden City.
Right.
So it's a huge honor to be doing this, and it's a great thing to be doing in this community.
Okay. So this National League of Cities grant that we received, first of all, we received a small grant, and then we received a larger grant, correct?
Yes.
All right.
Correct.
And that allows the city then to function and to, at least until the end of 2015,
Correct.
make this very substantial push to try to get this information into the hands of the residents and to try to get kids and families signed up for health care that they don't already have.
Correct.
Okay, so we come up with a number of approximately 633 people.
Right.
What's the next step from there?
So the next step was we went out into the community. So we did a lot of outreach at the local schools. So if anyone had a school child, they saw this logo. And I think that we did a pretty good job getting the word out there, but now we're trying to focus on actually helping people get enrolled.
Okay. And you said you went to open houses and parent-teacher conferences and stuff like that.
Bounce back to school.
Because even though this is a city project, the people that we're trying to reach, primarily it's much easier to reach them through the schools because they all have school-age children.
Correct.
Okay. So the object here is there are several programs, whether they be county, whether they be state, whether they be federal. There are several programs that are out there, and most people aren't aware of them and aren't even sure where to start, right?
Correct, yes. So there are many options available to residents, and so they're either through the state or it could be federal, and residents that are 19 to 64, with an income of $16,000 for one person, or with an income of $33,000 for 4 people, a family of 4, could qualify as an adult for health care.
Okay. And this isn't necessarily tied to, and I don't want to use the term, but Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. This isn't necessarily tied to all of that.
So this isn't the Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act.
Right.
This is through the state, and it would be free to the people that would qualify for it.
Okay.
And then for children, it's a little bit different, but it is, so for a family of 2, it would be $33,000 a year.
Okay.
Or for a family of 4, it'd be around $50,000 a year.
Okay.
And they could get their children covered with health insurance for like a copay of $10.
Okay. So there are lots of affordable programs that are kids specific.
Correct. Yes.
All right. So how do we get these folks into your office, or how do we get this information into their hands and try to get them signed up?
So it's really, like, the application process is really simple. We would hope that people would call our office if they needed any kind of assistance and direction, or they could come in and we can help them fill out the application. So we've already seen a lot of families that have come in that didn't necessarily think that they qualified for these insurance programs, and we sat down with them, filled out the application, and they were approved on the spot.
Okay, well, that's great.
Yes, so it's worth giving it a shot.
Okay. Now this, I've been tied into this for about a year now, and I still find this all very mysterious because the terminology is scary, the terminology is confusing,
It is.
the names of the sponsoring groups are so similar, you don't understand which program you're talking about. What do people tell you, and what have people told the city are their reasons for not reaching out and trying to learn about this in the first place?
Yes, so during the planning stage, like I talked about, we found that having to deal with DHS was a huge barrier for people.
And DHS is, for those of us that don't speak...
Department of Human Services.
Okay.
And also that they didn't think that they qualified. They didn't think the eligibility requirements were something that they met, and they also just didn't know how to apply. The whole process seemed daunting.
Right, and it is.
Yeah, it absolutely is. So that's why we're here. We're here to help. We're here to help with that process.
And the main point of what the city's now doing is to facilitate this for these people, to make sure that they get access to this for their kids.
Yes.
And the overall goal here is just that, is healthier kids and safer kids. I mean, if kids are healthy, that's a big deal. It
is a huge deal. When kids are healthier and they're covered by insurance, it's shown that they have higher academic achievement, and it also just provides financial security for the family, so that if something tragic happens, they're not sent to the hospital and then have these giant bills that they can't afford.
Right.
So it kind of is a safety net for them with the protection of financial security, and then it also just helps their children succeed more in life.
And it's a different world than it was 10 and 15 or 20 and 30 years ago.
Right.
Where everybody worked for an auto company, everybody had great insurance, or everybody had some kind of coverage. That's not the case anymore.
It's not the reality anymore, no. And that's why it's so important to get the word out there about how there are so many options for people.
So we talked a little bit about the Affordable Care Act.
Yes.
Are you folks doing anything in line with that?
So we are, to a certain extent. We've found that a lot of people kind of fall on the borderline of qualifying for these state programs, and so I am actually a certified application counselor for the marketplace. So if they do fall into those kind of areas where they don't necessarily qualify for state insurance, I can help them with that application as well.
Okay.
And there's a bunch of tax credits available to make it affordable through that avenue.
Okay.
And so through the Affordable Care Act, there is a fine this year that's being bumped up.
Okay.
And that fine is $325 for each person in the household a year.
Okay.
And then like $100 and something for kids, or 2% of the household's income.
Okay.
So
So that can be
motivation.
significant.
Yeah, motivation to get covered.
Okay. So let's go back one step, because
Okay.
that's about the Affordable Care Act. But really everything we're talking about when it comes to the program that you guys are operating, and it comes to what we're trying to do for the kids, it's titled Healthy Michigan, correct?
Correct.
What are some of the things that they get covered within that? And I know we're talking in general terms of health insurance is health insurance,
Yeah.
but what are some of these things that we're, now that these families are able to get for their kids that maybe they weren't able to get before they signed up for one of these programs?
So these programs, the Healthy Michigan programs, are fantastic. They cover so many different things. They cover dental care, doctor visits, they cover immunizations, vision, emergency services, family planning, and so much more. I mean, it keeps going. So
Okay.
it absolutely covers everything that a family would need to keep their family healthy.
So the main thing here is, if you are not insured, if your children are not insured, you want these folks to reach out to you. Obviously, you're going to be trying to reach out to them.
Yes.
But and one of the ways you do that is a program like this. But you want to hear from these people. You want to see what you can do for them.
Absolutely. We'd love to help. We'd love to help.
Where do they call? Who do they email? What do they do?
So they would call the Community Resources Department at the Maplewood Community Center. The phone number is 734-793-1857. And also on the Garden City website, we have a link there for the CRD.
Okay.
And they can find more information there.
Okay, very good. And now this is not the only thing you do for the Community Resources Department, correct?
Correct.
What are some of the other things that you do?
Some of the other things that I do are our home pantry. So the new food pantry that's over there, and it's been a lot of fundraising lately, so we can sustain it for the future, and it's been a really wonderful thing to see this community come together and support it. But I also do the emergency food assistance program over there, so that's once a month, and it's the USDA provides food assistance to those who are in need, so I oversee that. And then there's also the tax assistance program for all ages. If they need help with taxes during tax season, they can come in and get some help.
Okay, all right. So a variety of things that fall under you.
Yes.
And your boss is Monica Fulton, correct?
Correct. Yes.
All right. And obviously under the Community Resources Department, one of the things that falls under that is the Family Resource Center.
Yes, it is.
So this all ties together very nicely.
It does. It does. It is wonderful what that center is doing right now.
Okay. So again, if people want to find out about the Healthy Kids, Happy Families program, find out how they can get insurance for either themselves or for their kids, one more time, give them the information.
So if you want to give us a call, the phone number is 734-793-1857.
Okay.
And the website has a bunch of information as well.
Okay. And again, go to www.gardencitymi.org, and it's at the very top right of the website. You can't miss it.
Yes, this wonderful logo.
All right, Megan. Well, I want to thank you for taking time to visit with us, and we wish you continued success with this program.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, that's Omni Edition Garden City. Again, a special edition taking a look at healthy kids, happy families. Make sure you look into this if it's something that you think that you can use or that your kids can use. Again, it's the city website, links to everything there, all the contact information you need. Thanks you very much for watching. I'm Dan York. Good night, everybody.